This podcast is a proud member of the Unidentified Network.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, live and in colour, it's Mr. Wayne Lovejuice.
The other day I produced a Louis, had a chat with an interesting chappie who said that the YouTube algorithms really aren't that happy. If a channel only broadcasts once a week, so we decided we could text ya whenever we've got a piece of news in our new book on the track Xtra. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of On the Track Xtra. At the end of June, on the 30th, I took a small group of people to Maidencombe, which is a suburb of Torbay, in order to look and see if we can find the truth behind a series of sightings of what appear to be huge footprints. Some people say they were made by Bigfoot, other people say they were made by people. Some people think they are real, some people think they're a hoax. We went there and we had some interesting experiences. I've told you all about them in passing, but now I'm going to show you. Well, it started off just like in the old days, and for the first time in a long time, Graham and I were working together, going out, being intrepid and looking for something very strange in a woodland that we hadn't been to before. We met up with Richard Monck and his lady Andreanna and her son Toby, who's a remarkable and brilliant young man. The only way to get me up the hill was, I'm afraid, for Richard to have to pull me, like he was a Sherpa, and I was some particularly recalcitrant rat. Should be easy coming back, you just have to let go. It soon became obvious that it would actually completely rupture Richard if he was going to pull me any further. So once we came to a very pretty little but very hilly meadow, Richard, Andreanna and Graham, who I already began to think of as the away team, went off up the hill towards the place where we had been told that Ziggy Austin had originally seen the footprints whilst taking a group of people from a group called South Coast Coasteering out up along the coast path. Okay guys, what we're going to do, you leave me here because I'm not going to make it up that hill, and I've got Toby looking after me. There are three of you. What I want you to do is, if you can find the exact location that Iggy gave us the 3 words code for, and have a look and see if you see anything interesting on the footpath, which I very much doubt that if you will, and I think it'll be too big a coincidence if you do. And then go into the woods. Graham is going to explain about how to set up trail cameras. This is the way that we first did it in Tasmania, setting them up in a triangular fashion. So if something is seen by one camera, it'll be picked up by the next, and you can get some idea of its gait and how fast it's moving. We're using cheap, crappy trail cameras because we haven't got permission to put them up here. It's legal to put them up without permission, but it's also illegal for anybody else to nick them. So I've bought the cheapest ones I can find. The image is good enough to be able to see from them. This is a fox, this is a badger, this is a deer. But we want to find out what animals are actually living in this biotope, because if there is something large and dangerous, they're very likely to have scared away most of the other animals. And then what I want the three of you to do, and you're going to have to make this up as you go along, so please film yourselves doing it. We've got 2 compasses and an EMF meter. I want you to go through as much of those woods as you can and see if you can get any fluctuations for either background magnetism or on the EMF meter. And if you do, use these 3 words, or whatever it's called, to be able to note where the fluctuations are so you can plot them on the Google Earth when you get home. And don't be disappointed if you don't encounter Bigfoot. They left Toby with me to make sure I didn't get into any mischief. And Toby and I had a very interesting afternoon back at the meadow.
We're still following a track to an area where we're going to deploy the camera traps, the trail cameras. And our current location on this track is...
Rational unloading definite.
Rational unloading definite.
Yep.
Okay.
What 3 Words is a proprietary geocode system designed to identify any location on the surface of the Earth with a resolution of about 3 meters. It's owned by a company based in London, and the system encodes geographic coordinates into 3 permanently fixed dictionary words. What 3 Words differs from most location encoding systems in that it uses words rather than strings of numbers or letters, and the pattern of this mapping is not obvious, the algorithm mapping locations to words being copyrighted. At the moment, according to this, are we looking for Saloon's Tiger Simmer?
Yeah, that's...
It's 578 feet away.
Yeah. Well, take a triangulation when you're 100 feet away and you'll know whether you're getting warmer or colder.
Because that's the direction the sea is, and the sea is generally in the southerly direction.
Ah, here we are heading south into the woods. Where I'm going to set up some trail cams and hopefully it'll get shots of innocent picnickers coming along and being scared to hell by Bigfoot, who throws loads of poo at them. Sort of Blair Witch Project meets Pink Flamingos, eh?
We've currently moved from the What 3 Words location of Saloon's Tiger at Simmer to Classic Desktop Arrangers.
Classic Desktop Arrangers, that's where we're currently at.
Moving uphill and it's getting more woody.
Good.
Yep.
Hold the bugger in place while you do the
Okie dokie.
tying. Very strong handhold. hold your hand steady and I'll... You need to be higher up to the top. Sorry. If you can, that is. There's less to stand on around there.
Else?
It needs the usual bit at the back kind of thing. Prod it to looking downwards.
Richard, Andreanna, I got it right, didn't I? Richard, Andreanna and Graham, carefully using compasses and a EMF meter, explored the area where we put the trail cams up.
Right, I'm going to spark up the electromagnetic detector. And it's showing all systems normal, as it were, like one green light. Picking up anything as I turn. Trying to stop reflections off the plastic. There we go. Well, I've done a 360 now, and the detector has just stayed background.
And guess what happened? Not a sausage. Absolutely nothing. Bugger.
So the junction of these paths is where?
We are at tummy flotation chest.
That's tummy as in
Tummy?
stomach.
Yep.
Flotation and chest.
Yep.
Oh,
Tummy
right.
flotation chest. There we go.
Okay. Well.
Right.
Well, this is on the way back to the car from tummy, whatever it was, the chest. It's a nice little woodland path with a very steep drop down to the sea. Oh, and by the way, I did an EM scan a few minutes ago and nothing to report.
And meanwhile, back at the base camp, or rather the park bench and the crappy old wheelchair parked next to the park bench, Toby and I were having adventures of our own. We had a fairly uneventful 20 or 30 minutes at first, but then suddenly we could smell candle wax. It was the unarguable smell of burning candles. Here, I think we should point out that we were about half a mile from the nearest house. Look, you can see it in this picture. And in the other direction, there was nobody. And we were even quite a long way from the cliffs, so we couldn't really have had the smell of candle wax wafting up from the beach below us. I don't know if there is a candle factory in Maidencombe. I haven't been able to find out that there is one, but if anybody watching this knows any better, please let me know. And then we heard a noise. It was an unmistakable noise, and it sounded very much like one of the tree knocks that people who are interested in Bigfoot report from Bigfoot sites. So the intrepid Toby took my walking stick and went up to the tree line, and on my instruction beat 7 bales of crap out of one of the tree trunks with my walking stick to see if he could replicate the sound, and it did indeed sound very much the same. Then he went walking to see how far the smell of candle wax lasted, and while he was doing so he heard a second tree knock. He walked back to me, by which time the candle wax smell had dissipated, and then the two of us heard a third tree knock. Now, this does not mean that we had a close encounter with a Bigfoot. All sorts of things can cause tree knocks, but there was no wind, and otherwise the place was as still as the proverbial mill pond. Maybe there were kids in the wood playing and banging tree trunks with their branches and any bits of flotsam and jetsam that they managed to find. Or on the other hand, maybe there were people doing something for their own arcane reasons. These things do, after all, happen. But the away party didn't have sight or sound of anybody. And whilst they were on their way back to see us and find us and see what had been happening, at around about the time that we heard the third tree knock, they heard an unmistakable whoop from the forest. Again, just because Bigfoots have been reported to make a whooping sound doesn't mean that what they heard was a Bigfoot. There are a lot of different explanations, but you must admit it's weird. Soon after the smell of the candle wax dissipated, I heard a voice right in my ear. It was a voice of a relatively young girl with the sort of very strong Devonshire accent that most kids don't have anymore since the advent of the internet. And it said, "You all right?" I looked around, but there was nobody there. It was a very strange afternoon for the 5 of us, and it was one that we will be repeating soon. Richard, Andreanna and Toby are off on holiday somewhere in August, but as soon as they come back they are going to go and find the trail cameras if they haven't been stolen, and we're going to find out what animals, if any, have been picked up by them. I would be amazed if there's anything that even slightly looks like a Bigfoot, but we will find out whether the resident animals in the area have been scared away by something or not. This is an investigation which is going to run and run, and this is certainly not the end of it, so watch this space. I'll be seeing you.